So what we're actually gonna do in today's video is I'm gonna go over the Monte Carlo, show you the bones, the nuts and bolts, what makes it tick, give you some backstory on it, and just fill you in on the setup and what I'm gonna do with the car. Because I realize a lot of you probably didn't even know I had this thing, or if you do know I had it, you don't know that much about it, and that is what we're going to address today. This car has been a 650, probably 620 to 650 wheel, depending on, I don't know, just based on like what that setup does with the ZL1. Either way, it's over a 700 horsepower freaking car that's been put together for about 3 years now, and I've never gotten to drive it. Well guys, I tell you what, I have had one heck of a day today. It's dealing with something I've never had to deal with before. I got up this morning, went outside to go to the gym, and realized somebody had broken into my truck. Not only did they break into my truck, they tried to steal my truck and totally destroyed the ignition column in the process. Freaking awesome that they didn't get it, because it was still connected to John's trailer. And whoever did it had no idea what they were doing. And I could tell just by what they did and the type of truck that it is. But I've been dealing with that all day. The problem is, I'm not even so much irritated about that, is that last night I put a bin of packed and ready to go shirt orders in the back of my truck. Probably like, I don't know, 25, 30 orders, some of which, good bit of which had 2 shirts in the package. They took that. They took the bin. They left my Edge CTS monitor. They left my freaking like hockey skates in the back. Like other stuff. They left my tools in the bed. Like they didn't even go into the trailer, but they took my shirts. Great. Now I don't know how to use this website that well, so I'm gonna have to figure this out to go in and figure out where the last order was that actually got shipped. Because if you ordered something and got a tracking number from me pretty much between yesterday and like December 23rd, your order was in that bin. And I'm gonna have to go back and redo all those and eat that inventory, which sucks. Fixing my truck, not a big deal. That sucks. But it's just part of the learning process. I'm just glad they didn't get my truck. So I have that to be thankful for. Let's go 2021, starting off with a bang apparently. So first of all, before we get into what I'm gonna do with it, I will fill you in on what it currently is. So it's a 1972. It was originally like poop green. When I got it, it was black, but it had like some ragtag, someone's garage paint job on it. And I've had this car since 2014 when I was in high school. It had a big block then. This is kind of the car that got me to like learn how to work on cars. And I put a solid roller cam in it. That big block blew up. I put a 4-speed in it. Well, I paid a shop to put a 4-speed in it. This is really how I got into turning wrenches, is this car here. I paid a shop to put a 4-speed in it, a Muncie. The transmission I got from under some old guy's tree for like 300 bucks. Acquired all the other stuff. Paid a shop to put it in. Man, it was a lot of money. It was like, I pretty much spent all my money. All the money I had saved on that stuff. And I spent more money in labor than in parts. And I'm like, man, this is just freaking terrible. On top of that, I wanted to get it tuned for the different carburetor, different intake manifold, because I put like a Edelbrock air gap on it. Well, I had them do it while they were doing it, because back then I didn't know how to work on stuff. Let's get that out of the way. I didn't know how to work on anything back then. And they took it to Jeff Lutz. So Jeff Lutz put a boom tube on this thing. I had the boom tube and I wanted that place to put it on. They said, yeah, the same guy with the dyno can put the exhaust on. So I did that. Jeff Lutz dyno tuned this thing, put the boom tube on it before I even met the guy. When I met him, he had already done this. That's how I got introduced to him first. I remember picking this up right before Drag Week in 2014, when he did it with Junior in the Evil Twin, and he ended up winning, which was pretty cool. But then again, he dinged me for a lot of money too, so I thought I had spent all my money. Well, after that, I had really spent all of my money. 6 days later, I blew up the 4-speed roller racing in Evo X. Like, I shot the counter shaft out the bottom of the case. It blew up that bad. Limped it home in 4th gear, and it wasn't until a couple weeks later I limped it over to the garage and roll under there and realize that the whole bottom of the transmission was gone. That I'm like, wow, this is not good. And I wanted to put my Turbo 400 back in it so I could drive the car again, but I couldn't afford to take it back to that shop and have them do it because I knew it was going to cost $1 bazillion. So I called my friend Sean, who was in tech school at the time, and said, hey, like, do you think we could figure out how to get this back in here? And he said, yeah, we could do that. So we went to do it, and long story short, he didn't know as much about what he was doing as I thought he did. And we bolted the converter to the flex plate first, like you would bolt the clutch onto a flywheel and try to put a transmission on that way. Well, that's not how you do that. We messed with this thing for like 4 hours, didn't get anywhere. So we had to call my other friend, Bill. He stuffed that thing in like 20 minutes. So that's how I got my intro to turning wrenches. And I realized if I'm ever gonna have a fun car, I'm gonna have to learn how to, you know, I got 2 eyes, 2 hands, and a brain. That was like the exact verbatim, the thought process I had. 2 eyes, 2 hands, and a brain. Just like the guy who put it together for me. I can figure out how to do it. And that's how I was gonna have a faster car than my friends, is by taking the time to learn how to do that stuff myself, because that would totally eliminate labor cost into upgrades. Right now it has the Escalade's old 6.2 in it, the original 6.2 liter out of the Escalade with the blower that was also in the Escalade. This setup from blower lid to oil pan, essentially, it's got a different oil pan on it now for a car swap, but it's the same everything that was in the Escalade when it went 1188 with the LSA setup. Same everything. Now it's in here with a 6L90 and it's blown up. Like partially blown up. It's weird. I put this car together in 2017 as a thrash for drag week because the Escalade was not going to be done. I started tearing that apart in the beginning of 2017 and quickly realized I was in way over my head and was not going to be done in time. So threw this together with my friend Kyle, because the big block had previously, it dropped a valve the year before and I sold everything. So I had this 6 liter 6L90 pull out from a junkyard that I got for like a steal. I actually bought that before the big block blew up because it was such a good deal. I was just gonna flip it. Well, then the next day the big block blows up and I'm like, well, I know what I'm doing with this now. Turns out the 6L90 I got was garbage. We got it thrown together right before drag week. Day before I got to leave, put on the dyno, it does not shift. So I'm screwed. Then I put a 6L80 in it. The one from the Escalade that I like foobarred the tail shaft on to be 2-wheel drive. Probably not a good idea. And lo and behold, that one does not work either. Whatever I did to it may have messed it up. I'm not really sure. It runs and drives, but it slips. I've never gotten to use this thing. This thing has not been driven like a regular vehicle since 2014, before I paid that place to put the 4-speed in it and then freaking goobered it all up. And now that's gonna change. Right now it's got the 6L80 in it, and this shifter is just from like a 4L80 or something, and I kind of made that knob. I don't know if it'll focus on there. I put like the Punisher skull, the Monte Carlo thing, and put it in a little insert there, which I thought was pretty cool. It's got a CTSV gas pedal, which I was able to make work by switching a couple pins around from the truck one. I don't know if that's a common thing, but it worked for me. This tack doesn't do anything. There's nothing in here anymore, not yet. I have a new dash face for this. It's got new carpet. I had to build a new tunnel for the bigger transmission. It's got a 12 bolt with C-clip eliminators, like Moser axles. It's pretty basic. There's like some boxed, the factory control arms at the bottom are like boxed, and the uppers are like 90s Hotchkiss ones. This thing actually handles pretty dang good for what it is. But it's funny, put poly body mounts on it with my friend Bill, or pretty much Bill put poly mounts on it while I handed him tools. And we didn't know that you were supposed to do one side at a time. So he just unbolted all of them and then threw them all in. Well, the body's no longer centered on the frame, so that's something I have to fix too. Like, look how close this is in here. I can't fit my fingers between here. But over here, I got like, you know, good bit of room. So yeah, body's crooked on the frame. Actually, there's like a little 3/4 hole in the frame and the body under here that is used for alignment for that. So fixing this won't really be a big deal. I just never got around to it because the engine was always acting up, and the last thing on my mind was to like make the body straight on the frame again. I mean, you can kind of see that it's off crooked there. I'm not sure exactly where this alignment hole is at. It's somewhere in here. It's got the 12 bolt. That's a Pipes Street Pro exhaust system, like regular Summit catalog one. It's 3-inch stainless, an X pipe. It actually sounds really good. I'll fire it up here in a bit if it's not dead. It's got a Tanks Inc. EFI swap tank in it. That install went pretty well. It was very easy to do. But word to the wise, do not put tons and tons of RTV on the gasket for the sending unit, because I had a problem with this. It squished out, got into the tank, and plugged the pump sock. So this thing just did not make fuel pressure. I thought the pump was too small or something, because after I changed the transmission, this one will actually like let you goose it. It doesn't slip until like 4th gear, but it just would not, it would just like crack out. Like it just would not make fuel pressure. I'm like, what the heck? So I pull that off, find the pump sock clogged with RTV, change it, boom, it's fine. So if you're having symptoms like that, check your pump sock. Learn from my mistakes. That is an Olson Custom Works 6-rib drive setup. It's from the Escalade. And there's actually a little spacer at the very bottom that I had substituted with washers because I couldn't find it. Well, I found it at my shop in Pennsylvania, and I put it in the freaking center console of my truck so I wouldn't lose it. And the mofo that broke into my truck stole my center console insert with that piece in there because it had coins in it. So I've been eyeballing this little spacer for 3 years, and I finally get it, and I'm finally gonna put it on this car, and it gets freaking stolen because of some freaking coins. Stupidest thing ever, but whatever. Anyway, the motor mounts are UMI LS swap mounts. I had to do some drilling to make those work. I remember they didn't like fit right. Not exactly sure why. Speed Engineering LS swap headers. It's got a 245 upper pulley, stock truck lower. This is all stock truck stuff. It's got a Mighty Mouse catch can because I had it laying around. Biggest waste of money ever. Ever. I don't know why I bought that freaking thing. Somebody told me to, and it was the biggest waste of $400 of my entire life. I could have made the thing out of a freaking pop can and some freaking steel wool. Whole catch can PCV thing. It's total hocus pocus. I think it's a scam, so don't buy into it. Regular old Magna fuel regulator that was also from the Escalade. I make this intake myself. It just kind of puts the filter like way up in the fender because I thought it'd be real easy to block that off, and you know, maybe I could pull the headlight and have some clean air that way. ECU is just kind of like zip tied right here because with this harness, the stuff kind of has to go where it was in the truck because it's not heavily modified. The place that did this was a pain in the ass to deal with. I would never use them again. They had some stuff pinned wrong. It was just weird. And then they like billed me twice and wouldn't refund me. I couldn't get a hold of anybody. Just dumbest thing ever. Total freaking nightmare that was. That's like a Griffin radiator, same one that was in there from the big block. And got one of these ding old fans from like the parts store behind the counter, which surprising enough actually keeps it cool unless it's super hot outside. True Cool 40K trans cooler. This came from my buddy George's Silverado. I'm sure there's been several transmissions blown up through that, and it's in the car. Is that why my transmission now doesn't work? Maybe, I don't know. I've also chunked several transmissions through the True Cool 40K in the Escalade, and I flush it out every time, and it's fine. So, I don't know. It's just kind of one of those things. Personal preference. But I'm gonna make those bumpers black. I had this, like, not Plastidip, but like a competitor of Plastidip. And when they redid the body, they took it off because it kind of got messed up. But I'm gonna wrap the back one. And the reason I do not want to change them to fiberglass ones is if I hit something or got hit, those big steel ones would save the car. And I'm not that concerned about weight. This is not a drag car. That's not what it's gonna be, which leads me to my next point. Now, if you got a keen eye, yes, that's pretty much the Dale Earnhardt paint scheme. I found out after a while of staring at this thing that I could just paint the factory trim and it would look just like Dale's car. So that's what I did. I originally just wrapped this part red, and then I went through and painted everything. And this is orange. It's not red, it's orange. Dale's cars were freaking orange, just how they are. If you've ever seen one in person, you know what I'm talking about. because the colors come up differently on camera. So everybody thinks Dale's cars were black and red. They're not, it's orange. Usually this is on the grill, but they took it off because they painted my grill. But it would go like right here, like that. Maybe one lower. No, it went right here. Yeah, this is actually a bow tie from a 5th gen Camaro, and it is upside down. Because if it's right side up, how it goes on the Camaro, it like points down funny because it's angled like forward. But if you flip it over, then it's got the perfect forward rake to fit the forward raking grill of this car. Neat little factoid there too for you. That's why that thing looks the way it does. People ask me about that grill a lot and have been for years. That's what it is. And the exhaust is not gonna stay this way. The transmission is not gonna stay this way. I've always wanted this car to be a full out like NASCAR tribute car. Like the Dale Earnhardt car tribute with this. That's why I wanted a Monte Carlo, because they used them in NASCAR. I thought that was really cool. So this thing is gonna get boom tubes on it. It's gonna get the X-pipe system like the Escalade has, like the legit one. This thing is gonna sound like a freaking super speedway car circa 1995 to 2007. If you ever listen to a NASCAR, like go on YouTube and watch freaking qualifying from like the, you know, Talladega in 2000 or Daytona in 2001, 2002, something like that.
To be in the lead, but look at Earnhardt up there in the top groove, now falling in behind.
A lot of those cars has a really distinct high pitch wail that they don't have today. That's because of the X-pipe with the boom tubes, and that's a whole other video that I'll get talking about later. People think it's the carburetors, the fuel injection, the headers are different on the newer cars. They don't sound like that. None of that's true. It's all in the way they do the exhaust. And we're gonna do this one the right way with the original company that built those exhausts for those Cup cars. They have the diagrams of all that stuff still. I'd like to do a T56. If funds are not permitting, I'll put a 4-speed back in it. I would hate to lose overdrive, but I want this thing to sound cool. And it's gonna sound cooler with a stick in it. It's gonna be more NASCAR with a stick in it. And this car has gone back and forth from auto to stick like 4 different times over the times I've had it, just because I'd bust one or I'd get annoyed with the stick and I want to go drag racing, and I felt like drag racing was important to me for a little bit. And I kind of lost track of this and it veered away from that, and then I blew it up, and it's this big whole mess. Getting back to what I wanted this to be from day one, and that's a freaking stock car sounding, NASCAR looking, freaking super awesome, obnoxiously cool looking thing. Always wanted to build a duckbill like spoiler for this thing, just in the worst way possible. So that's definitely gonna happen too. I got this years and years ago. It's a front splitter from a 69 Camaro, but I'm gonna figure out a way to put it under here somehow. Like, look at pictures of Bobby Allison's old like Coke machine, 1971 Monte Carlo. It had something like this under it. So we're gonna go with that. I'm pretty sure in this box I have LED taillights, because I had LED taillights in this thing and they shorted out or something, and everything was always getting messed up. So once again, never got to put them in. I want to know, do you guys think I should leave the engine bare like that, or put the LSA cover back on it and maybe just paint it so it matches better? So here's your visual. That's what it looks like with it off. Wrap around here, check it out. Okay, now let's see it with it on. There you go, that's what it looks like with it on there. It's kind of cool. I mean, objectively speaking, I think it looks better with it off, but when it's on there and you stand back here, you're looking at a ZL1 Camaro when the hood's open. So I think that's kind of cool, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I leave it off, paint it, leave it on, just powder coat the blower lid and not do the cover, do both? You got any creative ideas, let me know. I'm all ears. Even consider doing some graphics on here of, you know, like a number or something, maybe like 4. I think a number 4 would look good on the side of this thing, or maybe like a 6 with a 9 next to it. I don't know, we'll see. So let's see if it'll actually start. We'll let it run for a while and see if it'll hold a charge too, because it did not the other day. I'm gonna put my money on that it does start. I'm gonna put the camera out here for you guys so you can hear what it sounds like from a cold start. little bit for you guys, and then I'll throw in some montage of clips of me doing random things, dumb things with this car over the last 6 years, which might be pretty cool. It takes me down memory lane to think about that stuff and maybe help fill in some of the blanks for you guys as to how long I've been messing with this car. I've had this car longer than the Escalade, actually. This industrial park is great because I can do that at 3 a.m. and nobody cares. Let's do it again from the front so you can hear the blower. How about that? Well, that does it for today. Tomorrow, we're actually gonna go drive this thing, which is going to be fun. I'm gonna smoke some tires, slide it around, do some stupid stuff I shouldn't do, because you know what? The transmission only slips in like 3rd and 4th gear, so you know, I just won't go fast. You don't do that doing donuts, so it's fine, right? That's my thought anyway. I'm also gonna have to redo all those shirt orders, which is going to suck. It's cost of doing business sometimes, I guess. Could have been worse, could have lost my truck. I'm grateful for that. Anyway, hit that subscribe button. Follow me on Instagram at Stapleton42. Leave a comment. Let me know something. I answer all my comments. If it's a question, like I do my best to keep up with those. If you send me a DM on Instagram, I'll definitely answer that. I answer all of them. But yep, I'm here to help. Hope you learned something. Hope you had a good day. Hope you had a better day than mine. How about that? That's how we'll end this video. I hope your day was better than mine.